But yeah, man, and like I think Obama did deport a lot of illegal immigrants.
For
For
sure.
me, where like Trump kind of where Trump deportation affected me was when I think a lot of Vietnam War refugees got started getting deported.
Mm.
And then that's why I was like, all right, now it's personal, like
Damn, there you go.
this is my village, one man, one village, right?
But one
Yeah,
rice to live.
Yeah.
there's a lot of Mexican servicemen that got deported as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
served
saw
for
that.
multiple years in our military. I don't know how that's on a path to citizenship, but
Must have something, some kind of loophole in that, where you're like, well, if you don't live up to this or that, like, I guess
yeah,
you're basically you're
you're in
done
there
at
for
that point.
6 years though.
Yeah.
More than 90% of Americans. No,
Well, do you think it's
It's
because like
crazy.
the certain state that they're serving in needed to meet like a quota or something to deport people to get funding?
no, I think that was just recently, as far as I was told, that was just like under ICE
Mm.
stuff.
Mm.
Because what Obama was doing was deporting uh, them like as they came in, as
Mm.
opposed to locking them in cages.
Well, what I thought happened was when you came here and seek refuge, Obama would was it like they would let the family live in America, right, under a certain special condition while awaiting trial.
Well, there's asylum seekers, and then
Yeah.
there's
Mm.
people that got caught coming over that weren't
Mm.
asylum seekers.
Yeah.
There's like the variants, I guess. But what Obama was doing was just sending them back, and they were just coming back, and he was just sending them back again.
Mm.
So
Mm.
he was just kind of almost passing it off, but he deported, I think, over 2 million, and that
Mm.
was more than Bush and Clinton combined, or something crazy like that.
He had a ridiculous number. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Like,
had a ridiculous.
so who was he really, or so who was he mainly deporting? What nationality? Was it just like Hispanics, or was it also like people who overstayed their green cards or overstayed their visa?
As far as I know that he was doing a lot of like severe people like that have committed some severe crime,
Mm.
that they were basically in the process of our judicial system to be indicted either life or because they committed some type of, like big offense, and then he was just deporting them. He was like, fuck this, I don't want them to be in our system type of thing, and he was just kicking them all out. He's like, well, if you're committed or if you are caught with any kind of misdemeanor, then you'll go through the process. You'll be fine. You won't be kicked out, type of thing.
Mm.
At least that's how I know. That's how I read that it was going on. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know the details on it, honestly.
Yeah.
So does
Yeah,
that
that's
mean?
where remember Georgia kicked out all their Mexicans
Oh yeah.
a while back.
Oh,
In the last couple of years, they had passed legislation to make it harder for illegal immigrants to live and work there, and a bunch of them
Mhm.
left, and then they had millions of dollars of crops go to waste on the vines because they couldn't have any Mexicans to pick their crops. They
damn.
tried to make prisoners do it. They tried to make people come out from the jails and do first forced agriculture labor, and it didn't work out.
Damn.
Damn.
They
Well,
took our jobs.
well,
Yep.
like, well, that's
Have them.
Right?
They didn't want those jobs.
Right. They took our jobs.
well, that's what happened in 2016 and 17, I believe, right? During when I believe when Trump first became president, he did a hard immigration reform or started deport, or there were fear of mass deportation with the whole ICE and the whole, was it Sanctuary City thing? I think was it 2016, 17, or 18?
It had to be
During yeah
2016. Yeah.
during the
2016,
yeah
2017. Yeah.
yeah, so during that time, like so basically a lot of illegal immigrants were too afraid to work the fields, and a lot of crops went bad. I remember hearing stories about in Santa Rosa and or wine country where a lot of grapes went bad because there's nobody to pick them. This one farmer was offering a good health package with a 401k, paying $15 an hour to pick grapes, and nobody wanted to do it. And I remember hearing a story too about the Central Valley where a lot of Mexicans weren't showing up for work because they were also afraid of being deported.
They, you know, That's that.
That's funny you say that too, because my mom and all my aunts and uncles worked those fields when they started when they were like 8 years old, all the way up till
And
the high school.
Damn.
They were actually migrant farm laborers. All my aunts and uncles were born in different states, and then they settled here in California because there's always something to pick.
hell yeah.
Very rough.
My actually randomly, I'm all because I just want to throw this in there because Ramiro always gives me shit for not being Mexican, but my grandma and my grandpa, my mom's parents, they actually marched with Cesar Chavez from Delano to Sacramento back, and they were part of UFW back in the day.
How brown are they,
Damn.
Jerry?
They're real brown. I'll
Yeah.
send you a picture. They're
I'm just
darker
giving
than
you
you.
crap. I wouldn't
They're
doubt it,
darker
dude.
than you.
I've been indoors a lot lately.
We need you to go to we need you to go to Home Depot, get one of those
Hang
color
out in the
boards
front.
and point. We need you to point at which brown.
Yeah, how brown the brown meter.
Mahogany.
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. No, I think it's very like I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like you got to create certain policies that allow I guess like illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants to come and work for a certain amount of time, like a visa, like how they were doing at one point where it was the Braceros, right? The Braceros Act back in the 80s and 70s and everything like that.
Yep.
So they allowed them to come temporarily, have a certain type of documentation, which didn't allow them to be prosecuted, but it allowed them enough time to stay, collect some money, and then head home, right? But now with what's going on the border is that they're militarizing the border, making it hard to come in and out. So, most people that immigrate in general, they want to go back home, especially if you're in a Latin American country, especially like Mexico. Mexico is so close, right? Most of the time, the Mexicans that come, they want to go back home. They don't want to stay in the U.S. because they got nobody here, right? Unless they have family and everything here, they could establish some type of life and everything like that. But those are the few type of thing, right? They're not. I mean, there's a lot of them. It's like half and half. Let's say it's like half and half. But there is a lot of people that can't get accustomed to the way of living here in the United States, and I think that most of them are willing to go back home. Like, but it's the cost, right? It's the danger of coming in and out of the border because they have like it's like 10, 15 grand nowadays from what I heard, and then you have to pay people, right? Like, and these are pesos that you're paying them, or you're getting sponsored by a family member here in the United States, so it's not cheap, dude. And so that's why they come here. They need to make their money and pay the people that paid them for the cost, and then stay, maybe even to make extra for their family. So it's really tough. It's not an easy situation. Like you guys were mentioning, these people, like the farmers, like the big farmers, they want them to, for their labor, but they don't want to have them part of the system as far as like give them some type of, documentation as far as like visas, licenses, things like that, where they're able to, establish some type of life here. And I think that's where it becomes a very complicated issue, and it's out of my fucking pay grade. I don't know what to do there, right? But at the same time, it's like I acknowledge that it's not a black and white issue. It's like, okay, the system is preventing them from doing what they want to do, but then again, like there's a lot of them that don't want to stay here for very long. They want to go back too.
I think one of the arguments against that is how people talk about how the money that is made working those jobs doesn't stay within the country, so it doesn't get circulated there, so it doesn't come back to the community.
Yeah,
And
see, and then that's interesting. That's interesting too, because I hear that point all the time too. And then in my head, I'm just baffled by that because you're worried about, the few $1,000s the struggling immigrants making and sending back to his family to help them have a better life, but you're not interested about, all these millions of dollars in Cayman bank accounts that get put into offshore tax shelters where, all these billionaires and millionaires don't have to pay shit, but we're going to sit here and criticize on, you know, the downtrodden that are sending their hard-earned dollars back to benefit their families. But we're not going to say anything about the corporate greed and sheltering of, you know, money that's not going to get taxed and never going to be in circulation.
Fuck yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah.
That is honest truth. Dude, it's one of those things where you're prosecuting the people that can't defend themselves. You're assaulting the ones that are like that have no voice, that can't don't want to use their voice to protect themselves, right? Because they're like afraid of alienation or afraid of discrimination or even deportation, right? They don't want to stand up for themselves because they don't want to, like they don't want to put themselves on that position or in that light.
They want to
Yeah.
be on the DL. They want to
Yeah.
Yeah,
be under.
exactly.
They don't want to
They
be part
want
of
to be
those
low key.
Deportations.
Yeah, dude, they're trying to live in the shadows, dude. Yeah,
And they're probably paying more taxes on their money because they're getting their paychecks are getting taxed.
for sure.
Or if anything, if they're getting paid under the table, it's still the farm that's paying them, or the
The farmer's still paying
dairyman.
taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's paying
Yeah.
taxes. They're getting that stuff's getting taxed. That offshore sheltered money isn't getting taxed at all, and it's 800 times the value.
Even if these illegal immigrants need a social security number, they can walk down the street in some neighborhood and buy one. And I'm just like, well, if they buy a social security number that's real, then that social security number is getting taxed. So
For
either
sure.
way, everybody's getting taxed.
Well, you have millions and millions of dollars coming in from state and local tax, right? And not only that, but they have to pay federal tax, especially if they're on pay stubs and everything like that. If everything's documented, they have to pay these wages or these taxes. Not only that, but they contribute to SSI. So again, SSI is only for those U.S. citizens that are already 65 or older that are able to collect that. So if you're not a citizen, you're never going to collect those funds. So
Yeah,
in
they're paying
reality, there
into
is
something.
they do, yeah, they actually pay for these people that are on SSI today, right? So it's a trip, dude. Like, because SSI it's just a fucking different another issue, but yeah, they pay into that system that they'll never reap the benefits of.
We just gotta get them out though. Fuck them.
Yeah, I guess
Fuck them.
we don't need them to pick our fruits. We don't need
Yeah,
them to
we'll
clean our houses or something.
we'll find some robots. Elon Musk got some robots coming to pick these fruits.
He got to have something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I love seeing the irony play out, like in Georgia in whatever year that was, where they just had lost millions. Like, oh, maybe we need to think about this, because
Yeah.
they got white people to go out there and do it, and they didn't last more than a couple days. Some of them lasted I think out of 500 people, 42 lasted for a week, and they still quit too. These people are doing backbreaking labor that no one wants to do. No one's stealing your job. Go get some certifications and become skilled labor if you're afraid about
Losing your job.
Jose coming over from the border, taking your job. Better yourself.
Yeah,
dude, for sure.
I think Shannon Osborne said it on The View about. She made a good point. There are jobs that are available that Americans don't want, where these immigrants will do. Unfortunately, she used the word house cleaner or maid, and it just kind of blew up from there. But her mind was on the right path, because there are jobs, man.
Yeah, but she's also an old British lady, so.
Kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that you know what I mean, like when I'm saying
there's more jobs to be.
Was it Karen?
Sharon. Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing the Hispanic community must be elated that President Trump lost, then, except for the Cubans in Florida.
In Florida, yeah, dude. A lot of people are very happy. Obviously, yeah. I mean, you got these dudes, the coconuts, right? That are basically just straight up. Well, I don't know. I really don't understand how they get into these mindsets, but there is a lot of Latinos that actually came up. I think it was I read the numbers. It was the last election, it was like 27% of Latinos voted for Trump, and then this time around it was like 32 or 33%.
Mm,
So it was actually an increase, right? So it was a trip. Like I was just like, dude. And I talked with my classes about this actually one time, about why did they think so, right? But it was a bigger turnout in the Cuban community, and the
mm,
whole, communist socialist push from the Republican Party, and how they're trying to twist that on now on them. It's a
mm.
trip. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any merit to this, but I heard that the reason why a lot of these Cubans voted for Trump was because they wanted to keep the tax low, because a lot of them own businesses and they wanted to keep that money or send that money back to Cuba so they can live a better life. I don't know if there's any merit to it. I can't say,
Mm.
but there's always what's that saying is that nobody hates immigrants more than legal immigrants. You
Uh,
know,
y- yeah. I mean, I could see how that would be, but I don't know. I don't personally think that a lot of people that I know that are
mm,
immigrants, I don't think they are in that circle where they more of it's like, okay, that person's doing good, like good for them, like
mm,
kind of feeling like, oh, like this guy bettered himself. He started here and now he's here. So he's doing a lot better for himself compared to when like from somebody that barely came, right? Type
mm.
of thing. At least that's how I've encountered most people.
The way I think about Mexican Americans that are voting for Trump or pro-Trump is it's like cockroaches for raid, Mexicans for Trump. Like, what are you doing? Look what
Yeah,
he's doing.
exactly.
Look what he's doing to your people. Look what he's doing at the border, and how you're supporting that. I have no idea.
But then they would say, "These are my people. I'm an American citizen." How would you respond to that?
Yeah,
I ain't
Dude,
exactly. But
Mexican.
your
I'm
I
ancestors,
American.
your ancestors
I
came over here. And your
I
ancestors
I
came over
ain't
here
Mexican.
sometime.
I'm
So
American.
I
I have a
think
citizenship, not a green card.
I think it's the silliest thing. I think is that they forget who they are, right?
Mm,
They become masked of what they want to become instead of who they are.
mm,
They forget exactly where they came from, what their parents struggled, their grandparents, great grandparents, whatever the is, right? But through the generations, they forget what is going on and how it started. But they don't realize, like just a couple of generations ago, you were the one, your parents or your grandparents were the ones being, discriminated against. And all you have to do is just ask, and I'm sure you'll find some stories. Like even the Mexicans that are like the pro-Trump guys, right? It's like the way I think about it sometimes, it's like, dude, you are basically the traitor, right? You're like a traitor in a sense, right? You like, it's like I mean, I was talking to Billy about this the other day, but I was like, dude, it's like, Jesus was betrayed by his own people, right? Malcolm was betrayed by his own people. In part, like, what's the name? I don't know about what's his name. I was gonna say
Caesar.
Martin Luther King, right? But
Oh,
it wasn't. I don't think Martin MLK was betrayed by his own
that was
people.
the
I'm not.
government.
That
That
was
yeah.
the
was the
government,
government.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So I know Malcolm was betrayed, right? He was set up by his own folks and stuff. But dude, it's like, okay, you're gonna play. There's always gonna be haters. Like there's gonna be that player, that person that doesn't want this person to get better because they want to stay in a position of power, or like
mm,
a feeling of I'm better because I have a document or because I have a better job or etc. Right? And it comes into play, and I think it's just silly. You're hating. It's like hating yourself. I hate
mm.
myself so much that I'm willing to betray myself, type of thing, right?
Betray the motherland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
so then do you think it's a an assimilation thing where
yeah.
they're surrounded by a community where they feel like they need to be such a polar opposite of what that community hates, so it's better for them to assimilate by being
Or
those,
they
right?
could just be, they could just be in those areas where it's Trump country, like
Mm.
where we're
Yeah, the
from.
environment. Yeah.
Yeah, environment.
We're
Yeah.
in Trump country, and their coworkers are Trumpers, their in-laws or whatever Trumpers, and they're just pushed that way. Maybe they weren't into politics or whatever, but they're just riding for Trump because that's what everybody else is doing
Mm.
around them, and they just don't want to be sore thumbs.
like a
For sure, I agree.
like a hive mind kind of sort of thing. Hive mind, collective thoughts, collective mind, Zergs.
Yeah, I
I
think
could
they're
see
just like
business
Zergs.
owners. I could see business owners not wanting, you know, if they make a decent amount of money, Trump's Trump's tax plan is beneficial to that. But I mean, besides that, if you don't own a business and you're not making over $200,000 a year, I don't understand why.
Dude, most small businesses don't make a lot of money though, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's a
I
lot
checked
of
some of the
write-offs.
numbers. Yeah, it's a lot of write-offs, and I've checked some of the numbers, and it's like I think they average from 60 to 80K, right? Like at
Mm.
least here in the United or California. So I'm just like, if you're averaging there, why would you even worry about it? And you could write most of the stuff off as it is, right? You come out basically making, you're basically making like a little bit above minimum wage, right?
Mm.
You're just like, dude, come on, like I don't know. It's not enough, I think, to sell out or to like basically join somebody that has been, you know, an array of different like ways to describe them, prejudice, you know, bigot, obviously, and xenophobic
White
and all these other things,
nationalists.
white nationalists. Like I don't know, for me it's like, okay, I understand, I'm on a different perspective, and like I come from, you know, being an immigrant myself, so it's just like, dude, how is this? I mean, I get it, but then I don't get it, right? You're just like, okay, but I mean,
Yeah,
there is a
it's
lot of
not
like-minded
possible.
folks.
Well, dude,
Yeah.
so